Hi, welcome back to another video, and thank you for coming back to this channel if you're a returning viewer. If you are new here, my name is Nelly, and in this channel I share content on personal and career growth topics with an aim to help you build a rewarding and fulfilling career. So I share topics around job search strategies, career growth, interview tips, and of course from time to time I bring on experts to have conversations around workplace topics that most people struggle with. So today's episode is about a conversation that I started having early in this week, and you might have been following me on LinkedIn. If you know me from LinkedIn, you know I share content regularly on LinkedIn, and I endeavor to use my voice in that space just to help someone change how to do something, or rather how to help someone do something better. So in the beginning of this week, I put a post on LinkedIn, and the post was about how can candidates appear in interviews in their authentic form. I can just read for you the post, the exact thing that I posted. And I was posting because I got this question from my inbox. And my question was, aren't interviews just like any other lie if all we have to do is to impress the interview panel? So because somebody had asked me, are we not just being put in a position where we have to lie because we have to impress the panel? And of course, I proceeded and say, so we are not trained to bring our authentic self to the interview room, but rather prepare to impress. So if you're watching this video and you have gone for an interview, I know you can relate with this post. And there was so many comments. I think when I read through the comments, of course, I'll read a few of the comments just in the course of this conversation to show you how people reacted and what people thought about this conversation, how candidates feel, or rather how interviews have been turned into conversations that we go to please the panel. Really, it's not a bad thing to please the panel, because at the end of it all, what you want is the job. What we want is the job. And we want to appear in interviews in our best selves, with an intention to please. But in between this mix, in between these very good intentions, we get to interviews in the form that we really are not. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Like, we lose our authenticity in trying to please or in trying to become the best. So that's what I want to share with you in this video. And the purpose of this video is just to share a few tips on how I think you should appear in interviews to remain authentic, how you can appear in interviews authentically without acting or being someone you're not. So if that's a conversation, or if that is something you'll want to hear, then I'm sure you'll want to watch this video till the end. So one of the reasons I decided to have this conversation after I received this inbox is because it resonated even with me. Because even earlier in my career life, when I was looking for interviews, when I was going for interviews, I used to practice a lot. I used to watch videos like these ones on how to prepare for an interview. And I used to go into the interview room trying to present myself in a way that I think will please somebody, or in a way that I want to please somebody. But I actually realized that that is not it. And I believe the best way to always appear anywhere, whether an interview or not, is to appear authentically. And I was reading a story of a certain candidate. She had posted on how she was hired, and later on, when she wanted to leave the company, during her exit party, I'll call it during our farewell party, her line manager told her, you know what? One of the reasons, or the main reason why I hired you, is because you are very authentic. I have never seen a candidate as authentic as you in my many years of recruiting and interviewing. So authenticity still has a place. So why it is important to always be authentic and not misrepresent yourself in an interview is that at the end of it all, even if you're hired, it will be discovered that that is not who you truly are. So you become an amateur. Apart from being an amateur, you live a lie. Apart from living a lie, you present or you convince somebody to see you in the wrong eyes as a person that you truly not. So yeah, so how then do you prepare to be authentic in an interview? The first tip that I believe is quite important is that you should not memorize the answers to the most common interview questions. I know we do a lot of content, like you're watching this video, you've watched many of my other videos, and maybe other creators who share career-related content or who share tips on how to pass a job interview. But I think the most dangerous thing that people do is trying to memorize. I might take you through a topic, or I might share with you how to answer an interview question. For instance, how to respond to the common interview question on tell me about yourself. But I don't expect you to say the exact words that I'm saying. What such type of content like the one I'm sharing should do is to provide you with guidance, not that you actually uplift or rather take everything as it is. For example, we are in different industries. I am in HR, maybe you're in a different job. Our experiences, of course, will not be the same. Our industry languages will not be the same. So you can't use the same language that I'm using. So that memorization is what makes you lose authenticity. If you begin to memorize, it's not a bad thing to practice the most commonly asked interview questions, to listen to how creators or how experts in that space share with you how to answer, but it is bad to memorize. If you're watching any video to memorize, please, you'd rather not watch it. So if I share with you how to answer the commonly asked interview question, like tell me about yourself, I will be telling you like you need to do, this is what you need to do. You need to talk about your past experience. You need to talk about your current experience. You need to talk about your future career aspirations. And you need to talk about your key skills. You need to talk about your achievements. And you need to just introduce yourself in a professional way, tell your unique story. So I am giving you a framework, and this is the framework that you should pick to use. Even if I share an example of how I will introduce myself, you should not be memorizing or just picking the example that I share and taking it to the interview. Because if you do that, you're not being authentic. You're not putting in the skills that you actually have. You may not be talking about the true achievements that you have achieved, but you may be talking about achievements that someone else has. So before I go to the second point, just allow me to share with you, to read for you some of the comments that people left in this post, and it was overwhelming. It was overwhelming just to see how people actually are feeling about it when they have to appear for interviews in a lie. So somebody said, here you have a point, because I feel that the issue is even how we get shortlisted to those interviews. Only those who are good in crafting the CVs will make it to that interview panel. It's like companies are hiring good CVs and, of course, good CV writers. So it's no longer about what you can do. It's about the person you hire to work on your CV. So everything is fake. Impression is just one of them. And soon they will tell us to research on the company human resource team, and, of course, just see how this is unrealistic. So people were really... somebody said, my last interview, I tried to be real. I am sure I was the best candidate for the job, but unfortunately, I didn't lie. And of course, I know from where I say that I was the best person for this interview. So somebody shared very good tips. Of course, I'll also just share with you this one. Somebody shared very good tips on how, even from an interviewer perspective, you can help candidates to be authentic. So when I read through these comments, then I realized how much people are struggling. And I always say that I want to structure my conversations in a way that it triggers, or rather it changes a behavior. So in this context, the reason, as I said, the reason I'm sharing this is just to help you to understand that you don't always have to be fake to present your best self. You don't have to be fake to convince somebody that you are actually good for the job. So the next thing that you need to do also to appear authentically in interviews is to always prepare for interviews. Because I realize one of the reasons we try to fake it, one of the reasons we memorize, one of the reasons we cram these answers, and one of the reasons we say things that does not actually align to us, it's because we don't prepare on time, you know. So you don't prepare for interviews on time, you're having a last minute rush. You want to cover everything in that last minute rush. And in that rush, you end up being somebody you're not. So it's important to prepare early for interviews, understand the job, understand the company. So the more you understand, I always say the more knowledgeable you become, the better place, the more you become in a better place to present your true self. So prepare early for interviews and always ensure that it is good. I still emphasize it is good to prepare on how to answer those commonly asked interview questions, then, because there are questions that will never miss in an interview. And I have done several videos just talking about the commonly asked interview questions that you can also even use to prepare. So as you familiarize yourself with how to answer, then you're able to genuinely connect them with your real experience. So early preparation is a key game changer when you want to appear in interviews authentically. Another thing that you need to consider is appreciate the fact that uniqueness is valuable, and appreciate the fact that you being different is just okay. You know, because one of the things we lose authenticity, not only in interviews, but even in everyday life conversations, is because we think that because I am different to so and so, I am not better. Because I am, because I don't talk like as she does, I don't walk like she does, I don't dress like so and so does. So appreciating truly that uniqueness is valuable. So what is it that you have that is unique? What skill is it that you have that is unique about you? It could be how you talk. It could be your confidence. It could be your communication. It could be your storytelling, which is a powerful thing. If it is your storytelling, then showcase that uniqueness. You're a good storyteller. Answer your questions. Answer the interviewer in a storytelling mode. Craft compelling stories around your experience. Use your uniqueness as your most powerful tool. If it is how you speak confidently, if it is how you're calm, be more calm. Whatever it is that makes you different, use it to your advantage. Understand that being different is valuable. Being different is beautiful. Being different is actually being unique still has a space even in the hiring process. So do not fear to embrace your differences. Do not fear to embrace that which sets you apart, because you realize that when we are different, we try to think that we need to a bit beat our heads down, calm our heads, like we need to coil our heads down and try to fit in. So do not try to fit. Do not try to fit. Let your personality actually dominate. And I say so because you cannot, no matter how much you prepare for an interview, no matter how much you try to hide whatever it is that you want to hide, it can always be revealed, because an interview assessment goes just beyond the technical bit. So embrace your uniqueness, embrace your difference, and always understand that being different is extremely a beautiful thing and it is valuable. And another thing you need to understand also is, an interview is a mutual evaluation. You need to understand it's a mutual evaluation. What I mean by a mutual evaluation is that you are evaluating the company as well if they're really a good fit for you. Most of the time we tend to think that it is us as job seekers or as job candidates that we need to be good to the company. The company also needs to be good to you. That's why you also need to assess. I like it when candidates come out boldly and say that I will not accept this offer because I have understood or I have discovered that your values or this is not where I want to work. Because it is in our places of work that we spend most of our time, most of our day hours, 8 to 5, 9 to 5, or whatever time that you get in the office, you're always there most of the time. So you want to ensure that you are getting into a place that you genuinely love. You know, you're getting into a place that will provide for you a good environment to work. So if you understand that it is a mutual evaluation, that means you want to be in a position where you present yourself as you understand that you're also looking for them. You know, you're also looking to understand if they're a good fit for you. So that does not make you feel inferior. You know, it removes the aspect of inferiority where you only think, you know, I need to present myself in the best way so that they hire me. They also need to, the company representatives also need to represent themselves in a good way so that you also hire them, so that you also accept their offer, because it's a mutual evaluation. You both are trying to evaluate each other. So let's not look at interviews as a sort of where we are being put in a place where we are sort of being done for our favor. If you're still in that level, if you're looking for a job, I want to challenge you to look at yourself as a valuable asset. You know, as available assets. And I just also want to connect this with the next point. And the next point is that look at interviews as a two-way conversations. It is not a one-sided conversation. It is not an interrogative. And that is why I always even tell the recruiters, the interviewers, you know, the best thing you can ever do is to create an environment where an interview is conversational. So let us look at interviews as not one-sided conversations. Because if you look at it as a one-sided conversation, then you always feel like I am on this side. You know, you feel like you're the one who has to be better. They also have to be better. You know, like I'm saying, I've seen good candidates just from the way they were interviewed. You know, from the way they saw the panel presenting the company. They just came out of that interview and said, this is a company I can't work for. So I wanted to get into that level where you will be able to also assess the company. And by the time you're coming, you know if this is a place you would want to work for or not. So if you understand that interviews are not actually a one-sided conversation, but a mutual or a two-sided conversation where you're both assessing each other, then you will not be sitting from a point of feeling that you're the one who is inferior, but you will be sitting from a point that you feel as an asset, valuable. You know, they are trying to get you to bring that value to their company. Then you will avoid to try to please. You'll avoid to talk from a point of pleasing to a point of selling. And let me just ask you a question at this point. If you've ever been a salesperson, if you're a salesperson, if you're a salesperson, we've all been sold to by salespeople. If a salesperson was selling for you, for instance, maybe this phone or something else that they were selling, this product has its features. So if they misrepresent its features, if they tell you this phone can do this and that, or let me use maybe an example of a washing machine. If they were selling for you a washing machine and they tell you this washing machine is able to wash, dry, maybe fold, straighten, and all those things. And just when you buy the washing machine, you go and wash and you realize it can't dry. Or maybe you realize it can't fold, or you realize it can't straighten, whatever it is that you're told. You know, that misrepresentation of that feature has already told you that this salesperson was lying. And you can even go online and expose that brand and say, they say their washing machine does this and this, but it does not do. So that is how it comes out when you also misrepresent yourself. So when you misrepresent yourself and talk about things or appear in a way that you're not, 1 month, 2 months, or a few months into the job, then your line manager, the hiring manager, can actually tell. And they'll become an amateur. And so people start to say, then this was a wrong hire. So that's why you begin to have those conversations. So let's not get to a point where we convince only to have jobs, but let us get to a place where we authentically get into spaces where we are supposed to be. And the next point is now for recruiters, just for us to avoid making candidates become misrepresent themselves, rather. That's the word. So we also, as recruiters or interviewers, we ask some questions that make people want to lie, make people want to fit in. So I call it wrong questioning. And for me, wrong questioning is a very big crime in an interview. And wrong questioning are questions that put a candidate in a position that they have to lie or they have to answer in a way to please you. You know, don't put a candidate in a state where they have to please you, but rather put a candidate in a way that if they answer, you see value. Those two things are completely different. And I promise you, as the panelist or the interviewer, you're not there to be pleased. You're not there to be wowed. You are looking for somebody who has what it takes to perform in your job. So don't ask bad questions. Avoid bad questioning. And I'll give you an example of a few questions that I've seen that I really dislike when people are asked. I categorize the first one as personal questions, questions that intrude into candidates' privacy. I have done that conversation several times. If you follow me on LinkedIn, you know I talk about that a lot. If you ask somebody a question like, a personal question like, do you want to, maybe, do you plan on having kids, for example? Those are very intimidating questions. And I wonder because a candidate will be offended, but they will try to hide that because they don't want to express that aggression or that being offended in an interview. So they want to smile while answering that, while it is a wrong question. What does it have to do with the assessment process? Or asking candidate questions like the intentions that we have when you ask candidates questions like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Okay, it's a good question. I am not against it. But we tend to you tend to put a candidate in a position where they think they have to answer in a way that will show you that they will be staying there for the next 5 years. While even you, maybe as a panelist, you've not been there or you've never been in an organization for 5 years. So that is hypocrisy. So there are just quite a number of wrong questions. So avoid wrong questioning. Avoid wrong questioning. It's quite important so that you allow candidates to present themselves in their true self, in their authentic self. So the next thing that also is quite important, if you want to appear authentic in interviews, is to be able to tell compelling stories around your experience. We don't like stories because we think that maybe we will, because we are being told that interview, when you're answering, be concise, be brief. But I like people who tell stories from where I sit, and stories actually help you to connect. Help you to really connect with the candidates. So, help you to connect really with the panelists. So you should be able to tell your compelling stories. You need to tell stories around your experience. You need to tell stories around your strength. You need to tell stories even around your weaknesses, around how you handle situations. So being in a position where you can tell compelling stories around you really enhance your authenticity. All right. So the next one, which is also quite important, that you need to consider as an interviewee, is to connect with the interviewers as a human being. Beyond the suit, beyond every other thing, beyond the titles, we are humans. So you need to connect as a human being. You need to connect with them genuinely. And also just still bringing in the aspect of stories, you can connect through stories. You can connect through using genuine humor when you're answering your questions. So be able to connect with them as humans. You need to connect with them. And this will really see you talking about real life scenarios, speaking about real life examples, not even faking, because we are always being told that go into interview with examples of stories, examples of achievements, which is good thing, but ensure that there are things that you have actually experienced. They are your achievements. They are your accomplishments. So connect with them as a human first before you connect as somebody who is being assessed, before you connect as a professional. So if you connect as a human, means you also allow chances for vulnerability, allow chances for vulnerability. That is truly who you are. So connect with them from a point of being a human. Allow yourself to be vulnerable in a good way, not vulnerable in a way that actually indicates desperation. That if you have to talk about how pained you are in an experience that you have, if you have to bring out how excited you are when you achieved something. If you have to speak about, connect with them in a way that allows you to be a human being, allows you to be vulnerable, allows you to be actually in a scenario where you can express yourself in a real way. And the final thing for this, guys, is to remember to be truthful, very truthful, be honest, and be very calm. So why I emphasize on being truthful is, if you don't be truthful, you fail to be consistent in your answers. And if you fail to be consistent, the moment you realize that you're lying, you'll always want to try, you come even with fabricated stories. You come up with what? If you can't keep consistent, a panel will be able to tell that. So ensure that from the start, you are truthful. And I know you people will be asking, how do I become truthful when answering questions like, why did I leave my last job, when the truth is I was working in a toxic environment, while the truth is I had a fight with my boss. It's okay if you had a fight with your boss. It's okay if you're working in a toxic environment. But again, how do you say that you had a fight with your boss without disrespecting your boss? Without saying, I was working with a bastard, I was working with a what? How do you say that? So you can answer that respectfully by just saying that we did not manage to get along well with my boss. You know, and it is okay not to get along because we have different personalities. So even though we tried to find grounds of coexisting, it got to a point where I felt I had to compromise so much to accommodate him or her. So I had to step aside. And for the purpose of my peace, because beyond work, we are human beings who need to have peace, need to be in spaces where we are truly loved and appreciated, and need to be in spaces where we feel we are bringing value. So you can still speak the truth without bad-mouthing your former employer. You can still speak the truth without bad-mouthing your former boss. And you can still speak the truth without sounding disrespectful. So yes, guys, I thought it was quite important to have this conversation, because for how long are we going to live a lie? And for how long are we going to, prepare so hard to go to interviews in nice suits, in nice scents, in nice whatever, and just go there to please someone, and go there to represent a false you, to represent somebody that you not are. So let's continue with this conversation in the comment section. And if you're not already following me on LinkedIn, I share amazing content there on a daily basis. Please consider checking my LinkedIn profile, or just looking up for me as checking out my profile on LinkedIn as CHRPK Nelly Akungu, to keep up with some of the amazing content that I also share there. And if you've not subscribed, I want to welcome you to this community where we are all about learning, about making ourselves better, becoming the best career men, career women, professionals that we want to be, and building rewarding and fulfilling careers. So thank you so much for watching. Till next time, have a good one. Bye-bye.